You ever wished you could think faster and more clearly than almost everyone else? Imagine being able to predict what's going to happen next, make smart decisions, and always stay one step ahead. That's exactly what Miyamoto Musashi, Japan's greatest swordsman, mastered. He didn't just use these skills in battle, he applied them in life. In this video, I'll show you how Musashi's powerful strategies can help you outthink 99% of people. Part 1. The Power of Strategic Thinking. Musashi wasn't just a master swordsman, he was a master strategist. For him, the battle didn't begin when the swords were drawn. It started long before that, in the mind. Musashi believed that if you could anticipate what was going to happen and think a few steps ahead, you could outsmart anyone. It wasn't just about reacting to what was in front of you. It was about seeing the bigger picture and preparing for it. Musashi's ability to think strategically is what gave him an edge over his opponents. He could predict their moves before they made them, and that's exactly what made him nearly unbeatable. But this isn't just useful in battle, it applies to everyday life too. Whether you're working on a project, facing a challenge at work, or even managing relationships, thinking strategically can help you succeed. The truth is, most people don't think ahead. They simply react to whatever is happening around them. But success, whether in your personal life or career, often comes down to having a plan, anticipating challenges and preparing for them before they happen. That's how you stay ahead, just like Musashi did. By adopting Musashi's approach, you stop reacting to problems and start anticipating them. When you think ahead, you're more prepared, less stressed, and better equipped to handle whatever comes your way. Think of one challenge you're currently facing. Instead of reacting to it on the fly, take a moment to anticipate what could happen next. What are the possible outcomes? What steps can you take to address each one? By planning ahead, you'll be better prepared to tackle the situation strategically, just like Musashi. Part 2. Mastering the Art of Observation. Musashi wasn't just focused on strategy. He was also a master at observing everything around him. He understood that by paying close attention to details, he could gain an advantage that others missed. Whether it was reading the body language of his opponents or understanding the environment he was in, Musashi used observation as a powerful tool to stay ahead. This ability to observe and adapt allowed him to outthink and outmaneuver his enemies, even when the odds were against him. The lesson here is that observation is often an underrated skill. Most people move through life without really paying attention to the details. They miss out on important cues, signals, and patterns because they're too focused on the obvious. But Musashi knew that the real advantage comes from noticing what others overlook. It's those small details, whether in conversations, negotiations, or everyday interactions, that can give you the upper hand. In your own life, mastering the art of observation can help you outthink others, whether it's at work, in your relationships, or while learning new skills. The more you observe, the more you start to see patterns and opportunities that others don't. This puts you in a position to make better, more informed decisions. By becoming more observant, you'll begin to notice things that others miss. This heightened awareness will help you make smarter choices, whether you're facing a challenge, negotiating, or simply navigating everyday life. Start practicing observation in your daily life. When you're in a meeting, pay attention not just to what's being said, but how people are reacting. Look for body language cues and unspoken signals. In social settings, focus on the details of conversations, the mood, and even the environment around you. The more you train yourself to observe, the better you'll become at recognizing patterns and making informed decisions, just like Musashi. Part 3. Detachment from emotion. One of Musashi's most powerful mental advantages was his ability to detach from emotion, especially in high-pressure situations. Whether in the heat of battle or facing life's challenges, he didn't let fear, anger, or excitement get the best of him. Instead, Musashi remained calm, clear-headed, and fully in control of his decisions. This emotional discipline allowed him to outthink his opponents, even when things seemed chaotic around him. In life, emotions can easily cloud our judgment. When we react out of anger, fear, or even excitement, we often make decisions we later regret. Musashi knew that to think strategically and make smart choices, he needed to separate his emotions from his actions. His ability to detach emotionally didn't mean he didn't feel, it meant he didn't allow those feelings to control him. This mental clarity gave him the upper hand because he could think logically and make better decisions, no matter how intense the situation was. The key takeaway here is that when you detach from your emotions during decision making, you gain clarity. You're not swayed by how you feel in the moment, which means you can see things more objectively and make choices that are rooted in logic, not impulse. Outthinking others isn't about reacting emotionally. It's about staying calm and calculating, especially in stressful situations. When you learn to detach from your emotions during critical moments, you'll be able to make better, more rational decisions. This puts you in control of your actions, even when everyone else is reacting emotionally. The next time you're faced with a stressful situation, try practicing emotional detachment. Start with something simple. Take a deep breath and pause before reacting. This gives you time to calm down and think clearly. You can also try journaling your emotions. Writing down how you feel before making a big decision can help you process those emotions and gain clarity. The more you practice this, the better you'll become at staying calm and focused, just like Musashi. Over time, you'll notice that you're able to handle stress better and make smarter decisions, even when emotions run high. Part 4. The importance of mental flexibility. Musashi didn't believe in sticking to just one way of doing things. He knew that in battle, what worked once might not work the next time. That's why he practiced adaptability, always adjusting his tactics depending on the situation. This mental flexibility gave him a huge advantage because he could think outside the box and shift strategies quickly. He became unpredictable and incredibly difficult to defeat. Musashi understood that being rigid in your thinking would only limit you, while flexibility allowed him to outthink and outmaneuver any opponent. This principle applies just as much in everyday life, whether in work, relationships, or personal challenges. If you're stuck in one way of thinking or approaching problems, you're limiting yourself. People who are too rigid in their thinking often get frustrated when things don't go according to plan. But those who can adapt, who are willing to change their approach when necessary, are the ones who come out on top. Mental flexibility gives you the ability to shift when things aren't working and find solutions that others might miss. When you develop mental flexibility, you become more adaptable and creative in solving problems. Instead of being stuck in one way of thinking, you're able to adjust and find new approaches, giving you a significant edge over those who are rigid. Think about a time when you were faced with a challenge and stuck to one strategy, even though it wasn't working. How could you have adapted in that situation? Going forward, practice being open to changing your approach when things aren't going as planned. The next time you face a problem, pause and ask yourself, is there another way I could handle this? The more you practice mental flexibility, the more solutions you'll find and the more unpredictable and successful you'll become, just like Musashi. Part 5. Practicing mental discipline. One of Musashi's greatest strengths was his mental discipline. He wasn't just physically strong. His ability to stay focused and avoid distractions gave him an edge over opponents who allowed their minds to wander. Musashi trained his mind as much as he trained his body. He believed that staying present in the moment and not letting distractions pull him away was key to outthinking and outperforming others. This focus is what made him a master, and it's something that can be developed by anyone willing to put in the work. In today's world, distractions are everywhere. From constant notifications to endless to-do lists, it's easy to let our attention drift. But Musashi teaches us that mental discipline, staying focused on one task and not letting outside noise interfere, can set you apart. The ability to concentrate deeply, even when it's difficult, is what allows you to outthink and outperform others. People who get distracted easily lose momentum, but those with mental discipline push through and get ahead. By practicing mental discipline, you sharpen your focus and improve your ability to think clearly. This helps you stay on task and make better decisions even when distractions are pulling you in different directions. Start practicing mental discipline by dedicating a set time each day to focus on one task without distractions. Whether you're working, studying, or improving a skill, pick one task and stick to it for 30 minutes or an hour. Turn off notifications, put your phone away, and focus solely on that task. The more you do this, the sharper your thinking will become. Over time, you'll notice that you're better able to resist distractions, stay on track, and make more effective decisions. Part 6. Combining strategy, observation, and discipline. Now that we've covered Musashi's key mental strategies, strategic thinking, mastering observation, emotional detachment, and mental discipline, it's time to see how these elements work together. Musashi wasn't successful because of luck or raw intelligence. He developed these mental habits and used them consistently. That's what allowed him to outthink and outmaneuver almost everyone he faced. The key is that these skills aren't isolated. Musashi didn't just focus on one thing, he combined them seamlessly. He strategically planned his moves, observed every detail, stayed emotionally detached, and kept his focus sharp. When you integrate all of these techniques into your life, you'll naturally start to outthink 99% of people. It's not about working harder or being smarter. It's about thinking differently and building these habits over time. The more you practice these strategies, the more natural they become. You'll find yourself thinking ahead, noticing what others miss, and staying calm under pressure, not because you're forcing it, but because you've trained your mind to think this way. Pick one of Musashi's mental strategies that resonated with you, whether it's strategic thinking, observation, emotional detachment, or discipline, and start practicing it daily. Focus on small, consistent changes. Maybe you'll start observing more in conversations or practicing emotional detachment during stressful moments. By making these small adjustments, you'll start to see a shift in how you approach life's challenges. And over time, you'll gain the advantage you've been looking for. If you found this video helpful, subscribe for more content like this, and let's keep sharpening our minds together.